Hello everyone, welcome back to the grammar lessons. This is Palash. Today I will be taking the grammar lesson forward one step by the other towards parts of speech. So in the previous session we learned upon building blocks, and parts of speech are also a very integral components of our speech. And beginning with, if I say something like morphologically speaking, the words that will be forming the phrases and the clauses and complete sentences, if we do not have adequate word knowledge, any usage of the word in a wrong part of speech can create problems. And therefore we should look at parts of speech in its entirety. I'm sure that we have done parts of speech in schools, but this is just a brush up and giving you a holistic thing which schools have missed. In this video, I have put up the 4 segments, which is the types of questions that exam focus, the sources or study material that you can practice, that you can find on internet, you can practice up, or you might have some school books with you that you can refer to. Third thing is upon understanding the past of speech, and then we'll do a quick 2 exercises that I have. One exercise that I've given to you, and one exercise is consisting of some 5 questions which we will solve live during the class. So without much ado, let's get started with the video. The first one starts with type of questions in exam. You might have wondered upon that I'm giving you all this knowledge upon what is grammar all about, but never told you about what are the type of questions that you will encounter in NMAT. So basically there are 3. The fill in the blank segment actually deals with 3. They can ask questions on articles, they can ask questions on prepositions, they can ask questions on phrasal verbs. What are phrasal verbs? Verbs like in something like check in, check out, okay, look up, look into. All these where verb has a preposition followed, and if the preposition keeps on changing, the word meanings keep on changing. Those things are called as the phrasal verbs. Again, don't stress, we will deal with phrasal verbs later. I have given phrasal verb as a list to be understood in terms of your vocabulary bundle, and I've pinned it in the I've shared my Google Drive link. If you have not got it, I think you can just ask me. You can just find me at @abhipalash on Telegram, and I'll forward you the link. So I've already did. So just be in touch with me if you have not received. If you can't find that in the group, it's an important 50 words that I've made as a list which you should mug up, because majority of your exams are going to ask you from only those words. The second kind of question is the error detection, where they give you a sentence, you have to identify the part which is grammatically incorrect. For example, if I say what a beautiful scenery it is, and give you 1, that if this part has an error, 1, you mark 2 if this part has an error, you mark 3 if this part has any error, and you mark 4 if there is no error. So if you look at this sentence, I think you can pause the video for a while and think that what is the error in a sentence, if there is any error in what a beautiful scenery it is. I'm sure majority of you will say that there is no error. I can't find an error in this sentence. Or some of you might think that it is redundant. You can say what a beautiful scenery and put an exclamation mark. So 3 has an error, but actually the error happens at the word a. Scenery is an uncountable noun. And therefore, you cannot count it. So what you can say is what beautiful scene it is, what beautiful view it is, but you cannot say what a beautiful scenery it is. Okay, so the here is the error, and therefore the answer to this question should go as 1, because the first part as the error. Now these questions are a bit classy questions. These are bit challenging questions because they will not give you a direction of, or they will not point out what is the error type. However, there is another set of questions which give you sentence correction as a questions where a part of the sentence is wrong or a whole sentence is wrong, and then you have to, they'll give you options from it. They'll give you a sentence and underline the part of the sentence which has contains error, and then they will give you kind of replacement how we can better it or how which of them is grammatically correct. In these sentences, it's easier than compared to error detection because at least you get a direction that, okay, it's a preposition ka fault, it's errors of verbs that is happening, it's an error of tense that is happening, etc., etc. But in an error detection, you have to do all the mental mapping that which particular subdomain this chapter have come up to. Now, having said that, I think we discussed the WOM in the very first video. In the previous video also, I told you a bit upon what can probably be word errors, order errors, and meaning errors, which consist of the morphology, syntax, and semantical errors. And then contextual usage, the construction also can create certain problems. So that we will do in the WOM. I think what are the sources that you can refer to? So there are two online and offline sources that I will give you as a brief. The online source is dictionary.cambridge.org. It's a very good source. It's a very authentic source, to be honest. So I think if you just Google out and every doubt, the problem with Google happens, it give you regional results. And also we do not know whether the person who's giving this knowledge or this rule particularly is applicable or is in acceptable in the UK as well as in the formal written English or not. So I refer to two sources. Cambridge is a very good source. All you need to do is you just type a word here, or for example, you're confused at a preposition at, and you just search in grammar, and it will show you, display all the results, all the possible usage of at as a preposition. And I think it's authentic because you can blindly go for Oxbridge, which is Oxford and Cambridge. The second source is lexico.com, which is again powered by Oxford. It's a very good source to learn grammar. The only disadvantage of this website is that the grammar is not very systematic. You start with nouns and it will see also noun phrases, and then it will make you go to adverbs and then make you understand modifiers and so on and so forth. So it's not very it's not very connected and well linked. It's haphazard piece of information, but the information is very true and a very authentic source that you can refer to. So as I said, Oxbridge, Oxford and Cambridge, the two official sources that we can refer to if you have any particular doubt, if you have anything that you are learning on your own and you're ever getting confused. I think Lexico and Cambridge.Dictionary are free sources. They will not charge you a single bucks, and they will give you a very precise and an exact grammar rule about it. Some offline books, I'm sure that you would have learned you would have had these books, you would have understood, you would have known about these books. This is a very famous book which is called as Wren and Martin. This is a high school English grammar book. It has 4 parts. So if you have this book, it's well and good. If you do not, you can just find it on the web. You can just download it. I think it's easy. You can purchase it as well. This is a good book. At least a part 1 is something that I recommend if you are very weak at grammar, and if you are advanced learner of grammar, I think I will also recommend a part 2 of this book that you should do. This depends into part 3 and part 4 are basically into essay writing and so on and so forth, but part 1 and part 2, all the chapters that I'm dealing with, at least that you should practice from this book, and it will be more than sufficient for our exams. So try and do exercises, because I'm sure that the video lessons that you are watching are going to help you theoretically, but the practical usage is something that we need to do. Murphy-Raymond's is also another book that is very good, recommended for intermediate learners of English grammar. It's good, its exercises are really adequate, and you can refer to this book as well. Then we have Sydney Greenbaum, which is supposed to be for the GMATs. if you are appearing for GMATs or you are wanting to, I think GMAT English grammar is a bit tougher than the Indian schools, Indian B schools grammar or Indian competitive exams grammar, and therefore look at this as a reference book, as Oxford English Grammar for the India edition especially. It's a very good book, and I think it encompasses all the nuances of the grammar that any competitive exam is going to focus upon. Now, continuing towards our session today, parts of speech. I'm sure that you know the basic understanding of total 8 parts of speech. See, schools have taught us the classification, the definition, the classifications of them. My agenda here is to try to tell you upon the role and the functionality of every part of speech, because how we have to determine the errors of construction, the errors of usage. So nobody is going to ask you that what is the definition and what kind of sub-classification or definition of it, but I'm sure that you need to understand that it's important for us to get the analytical viewpoint that what a noun does in a sentence. So I say nouns are nothing but the words that are denoting entities or identities, provide identities to things. There are two kinds of nouns. They are concrete nouns and they are abstract nouns. The typical definition, the school definition of name, place, animal, thing was only applied to the concrete nouns, not to the abstract nouns. So nouns are some things that we perceive through our senses, and the things that we can also understand, but we can't touch. But point is, they act like entities or identities. They are the ones who act like subjects and objects in a sentence. What are pronouns? Pronouns are the words that are used to replace the nouns within the sentence. For example, you have a name, but rather than your name, I just say your mother gave me. I have a name, but I replace my name with a me, and this book is now mine. So I think the pronouns, the basic role of a functionality of a pronoun is to replace the entities. So these are replacement words for the entities. Then comes adjectives. Adjectives are the words that give us additional or extra piece of information about the entities, which are the nouns and the pronouns. So they give us additional information about the nouns and the pronouns. For example, the pronoun, the entities, the mouse, dog, and ploy. So how was the mouse? The mouse was little. How was the dog? The dog was big. And how was the ploy? The ploy was clever. So any word that provides additional or extra information about the noun or the pronoun, now specifically talking about the entities, are therefore called as adjectives. So that's the role of an adjective or an adjective phrase or an adjectival clause, etc. Verbs. Verbs are something that are very vast. Verbs I will deal in my lesson 5. I have dealt with verbs as a separate class. In entirety, we'll see verbs and then understand what are linking verbs, what are dynamic verbs, what are stative verbs, and so on and so forth. And then for this class, I will say that verbs denote existence, and existence is divided into two basic parts. We have action words, which tells about the dynamic verbs, because the living beings are capable of performing action, but non-living beings are not capable of performing action, and therefore they are kind of referred to the states of being, and therefore they are the stative verbs. So Rohan is a young man who has an important meeting. Now is a young man, so this is a linking verb because it is linking to the adjective here, which is a young man. So this is a linking verb. You can say that it's not denoting an action, it's denoting a state, and therefore it's a stative. So it's actually a linking verb. And then who has an important meeting is a helping verb. Okay, he has an important meeting tomorrow. He doesn't want to be late. See, so again, he want is something that is a dynamic verb or a main verb, but again doesn't act like a helping. So verbs are very interesting. Verb is the word in a sentence because verb is very important. Without verb, it doesn't make complete sense. So without verb, you cannot complete a sentence. So verb are the essential background because entities exist in certain manner. So if you're not telling the existence of basically the verb, which the verb is, if you're not telling the existence What are you telling about? It's just a noun and an adjective, and then that will not make complete sense to the reader. So verbs are very important. Then comes the adverbs. Adverbs are the verbs that give us extra information about verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Therefore, in schools, I'm sure that you would have learned that, okay, verbs only give information about verbs. No, they also give information about adjectives and fellow adverbs. For example, he sings melodiously. Now, singing is the verb, and therefore melodiously gives extra information about verb. But look at this sentence. She is very beautiful. Now, she is the pronoun. Beautiful is the adjective, but very is the adverb. He's writing quite slowly. Now, writing is the verb, slowly defines the verb, therefore it becomes an adverb. But even quite now gives me an idea upon how slowly he's writing, therefore it's the adverb of quantity. So it is also an adverb. So it gives you the knowledge about adjective. This one gives you knowledge about adjective, wrong, and this gives you about the adverb. So keep this in mind, because even I can take another example and can explain you. For example, let's say if I say a light brown fox versus a old brown fox. Now, in this sentence, noun is the, in this phrase, let's say noun is the fox. Brown gives information about the fox and therefore acts like an adjective. And old also gives you information about the fox, and therefore old is also acting like an adjective. But in this case, when I say brown, fox is the noun, brown gives information about the fox, which is therefore an adjective, but light doesn't give us information about the fox. Light gives information about the brown, and therefore light acts like a adverb. So please remember, what we are dealing with is the role and the functionality, and therefore it's not what they absolutely are, but how do they perform in a sentence is what is important. Now, what are adverbs? What are prepositions? Words that relate nouns and their existence so that they help explore the relations of usually time, place, and position to any other part of speech. So any preposition, the hack to remember a preposition is in the name itself. The word is actually called as preposition. So it will always be preposition to a noun. Right, because it will always try to tell you an object association, the noun and their existence to any other particular noun. For example, in this case, let's say the old man sat on the porch. So the porch is another noun, is an object here, but a noun. And the old man is a noun, sitting is the verb. So noun and their existence, how is it related to the porch? Right, because he could have sat under the porch. The moment I put under, you are understanding that the position of the man sitting and the porch is now under. So the old man was sitting under the porch. So please remember, prepositions help you get the relations, and the hack, how do you understand that they will always be followed by a noun. Okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say if I write the bus moved above, and say what is above in this. Now, you might think that above is a preposition, but no, it's not. However, in the second sentence, if I say the bus moved above the bridge, in this sentence above is a preposition. Now you might be wondering how, because see, the bridge is the noun and it is telling you how is the bus's movement related to the bridge. So it's telling you the position, and therefore preposition, and therefore a, however in this case, therefore a preposition. However in this case, above is trying to tell you about the movement of the bus, that where did the bus move. It's not helping you relate anything, it's just telling you where did the bus move. So it just moved above, and therefore above acts like a adverb of place. So for example, if you do not know adverb of place, for example, I met him there. So where did you meet him? You met him there. So there becomes the adverb of place. So remember that the hack of prepositions is it will always be followed by a noun. It will always be prepositioned to a noun. Okay. Now, having said that, let's move ahead. Conjunctions are the words that are used to join two or more words, phrases, clauses, and even two sentences. Basic work of a conjunction is to join or add. For example, the preposition is to relate, the adverb is to give us additional or extra information about these three. But conjunctions used to add or join. What they can join word, the basic lexical unit, they can join phrases, they can join clauses, and they can even join two sentences. Again, as I've said, words make phrases, phrases make clauses, and clauses make sentences. So definitely you should remember them in the order that conjunctions can join anything. Okay, last one, interjections. So interjections do not have any grammatical value. However, they are considered a very important part of speech. They are used to express emotions or feelings. They are used in our daily conversations and therefore an integral part of speech, but they have no real grammatical value. So no competitive exam is going to ask you interjections. Now, having said that, what is the role or the functionality that a part of speech is used is one thing that we need to keep in mind. For example, here I've just taken up one word which can be used in different ways in a sentence, in different sentences. For example, the city is calm again. This calm is giving you information about the city, and therefore calm is behaving like an adjective. The police appealed for something that I can't touch but I can perceive. So it acts like an entity and therefore acts like a noun. Take a deep breath, it will calm your nerves. So this will do something about the existence of the nerve. This will do some action on the nerves, and therefore the calm acts like a verb. The doctor calmly replied. So this tells you about how she replied, the manner in which she replied. So becomes a adverb. The manner in which she replied. Look at this one. The down train is late. The up and down trains, right? The up from a destination to another one, and the down returning from that destination. So down train. Which train? Train is the noun, and therefore down gives us information and acts like an adjective. The plane came down. Okay, adverb, very similar to the sentence that I made you do. The bus moved above. Where did the bus move? The bus moved above. So it acts like an adverb of place. So the plane came down. Where did the plane came? The plane came down, and therefore adverb of place. We downed our coffee and left. So I did an action to the coffee, and this is therefore a verb. However, the wolf ran down the hill. So the hill and the wolf running. The wolf running, noun, and the verb, so noun and their existence. How is it related to the hill? Preposition, it always is before a noun, it is always followed by a noun. So down is acting like a preposition. It's telling me the position of the wolves running to the hill. Therefore, acts like a preposition. So I'm sure that Let's look at the questions, guys. So these are some 5 very simple questions. You can just pause the video, take a while, understand what part of speech is followed by them. Let me discuss. I'm sure you would have solved it. Now, the first one is a verb, because it's acting like a verb, because it's doing some actions on the window. Therefore, words that tells us about the existence of the entities are known as the verbs. So the existence is about the entities being told and therefore acts like a verb. Second one is something on the card. So the thing, the entity that we cannot touch, but we can definitely observe, perceive, is what is called as the noun. So it acts like a noun. It's an abstract noun. The lace veil is so light that it seems to float. So light is the adjective because it talks about the veil. Here the word lace is also an adjective. An interesting aspect is what should have been the word so. So would have acted like an adverb. It's so light. So words that modify the adjectives are known as adverbs. And if you're wondering, to float is not the preposition. To float is therefore a infinitive verb. Okay, not every to is a, if the hack of preposition is it should be followed by a preposition to a noun. Here there is a verb, there is no noun. So very interesting sentence to analyze and explain a lot of parts of speech only in one sentence. Okay, fourth, easy. One has to believe in oneself. Oneself acts like a pronoun because one has to believe in one. The weather has turned quite cold. Now again, cold talks about weather, which is the noun. The is the determiner. Cold is the adjective, and quite talks about what is the degree of cold and therefore known as an adverb. So these are the answers. Rattle is the verb, limit is the noun, light is the adjective, oneself is the pronoun, and quite is the adverb. I hope we've got all of them correct. Let's move to the next sheet that I have already given you, the previous year papers. This is a SNAP 2012 question, a very interesting question. So, reared in the village, the answer, first of all, is the first one. It's actually correctly used. What is wrong with other things? I think here the word curiousness is wrong. There is no word known as curiousness. I think curiosity automatically stands for curiousness. So wrong word usage. Now, here the tense mistake is there. Being reared, it will imply that he's still being reared. It is still going on, which is wrong. Curious to know that computers and the internet, but he was reared up. That's a wrong phrase. So I think reared in the village, that's the perfect use of the phrase. Whereas reared up is a wrong phrase, word usage. So pretty interesting question on the word usage. Look at the second one. This is a 2018 question, PGDBA. You have to use which of the word is incorrectly used or inappropriately used as a word complement. So I think the first is clean, this is good, this is clean. We have to find the incorrect one. So this is correct and therefore cannot be the answer. I think the new curtains were to complement the walls, again correctly used, therefore cannot be the answer. The objective of the session was to teach how the colors complement each other, again correctly used, not the answer. The incorrect usage was the economic crisis of that decade had its complement. It will not be a compliment. He's actually wanting to say actually it should be had its counterpart, and you can't use the word complement instead of a counterpart. So what he used to say The economic crisis of the decade had its counterpart in political crisis in the next. This is a very interesting question. The next one, which talks about, again, we have to find the incorrect usage of the word glow. So the first, I saw her glow with pride. Fair enough. That cannot be the answer. The glow her on face was testimony. So prima facie doesn't look anything wrong with this. A bonfire cast a glow on the surrounding darkness. Correctly used. Can't be the answer. The glow on her face was an indication of her sullenness. So fair enough. The glow on her face was a testimony of her embarrassment. Embarrassment don't glow. So I think second becomes the answer to this question, because second is incorrectly used. See, a glow on her face was an indication of her sullenness is still perfect, but the glow cannot be of the embarrassment, and therefore incorrect usage. The next one was upon finding the match. Okay, this marriage is a match made in heaven. I think perfectly fine cannot be the answer. Please light the match so I can see the switch. Perfectly fine cannot be the answer. It was an even match between two contestants. Again, perfectly used. No, incorrect. The problem, if I look at the fourth one, prima facie, also seems correct that the movie sequel is not a match of the original. You're on the original. That seems correct, but actually the correct idiom is no match for. So I think this is therefore the correct answer. So it's a no match for. Very good questions from Snap 2018. We have to find the correct usage and what function in the role is of the word still. So look at the first question. We had still waters run deep. So water is here as a noun, so still behaves like an adjective. So still water runs deep. So adjective should go as this. 2 should have A. So I think I narrowed it down. 2 should have A. So there is only 2 options. So A is gone, B is gone. Okay. He wanted some stills for a magazine. I think that acts like a noun. Stills is the thing for the magazine. So he talks about the snaps. So first is definitely going to be Bombay. So 1 is Bombay. So I got my answer. However, I'm just doing it for the other questions as well. The good news makes me still my fear. So it does some action on your fear. So this acts like a verb. And will you still love me? So love is already the verb here, and it still tells additional information about will you still love me. So when will you love me? Will you still love me? So adverb of time, and therefore adverb. So fourth goes with D. I think I already found the answer, but here again 3 is C, used as a verb. Correct match for the word well. Now verb, you never miss the water. You never miss the water till the well runs dry. So I think here is an entity, so it's a noun. So third should go with A, which narrows down my option to only 1. So I got my answer only at the first. However, let's figure out the next one. Tears well up, phrasal verb. So 1 should be Bombay. So 1 should be Bombay. That narrows it down to definitely 2 options. Okay, the child behaved well. So how did he behave? Well. So well acts like an adverb. So fourth is C. Okay, so I got all of them right. So adjective is that they played hard. It was a well-deserved victory. So how was the victory? Well-deserved. So victory is the noun. Well-deserved acts like a adjective. So I hope that brings into focus that what did I say, what did I discuss in this chapter about understanding parts of speech and their role and functionality. It's a very simple question, but understand they will make options in such a creative way that you cannot, if you do not process it perfectly, you will make mistakes. So I hope you understand this. That is important. Before we end the class, quick recap. What are nouns? Nouns are entities and identities that uh, uh, are being talked about in the sentence. Pronouns are the replacement words for the entities or the identities. Adjectives provide additional or extra information about the nouns or the pronouns or the entities. Verbs define the existence of entities. We learned that there are two kinds of verbs. We have a dynamic existence, which is about action words, and we have a stative existence, which is about the states of being, and therefore verbs denotes the existence of the entities. Adverbs provide additional information about three parts of speech: verb, adjectives, and adverbs. Prepositions, the preposition, they help explore the relations of the entities to their existence, and they are always followed by a noun or an entity. Conjunction, always add. The role is to add or join. They can join words, they can join phrases, clauses, and even sentences. Interjections, no grammatical value, but used to express feelings or emotions. So in our competitive exams, nobody is going to waste a question on asking you interjection. So that's all from my side. In the next class, we'll focus upon understanding the nouns and the pronouns, the nouns in certain terms like person, cases, gender, compounded nouns. What are them and how are they going to frame a question around it? Relative pronouns. In the world of pronouns, I think the most frequently asked question on pronouns becomes the relative pronoun. So what are the nuances of the relative pronoun is something that we'll learn in the next class. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Are you making sense of this? And this is the functionality that I was referring to. So you can just pause this video, make certain guesses, and then I'm going to discuss what underlined part of speech is what is acting like what in a sentence. All right. Rattle acts like a verb because this is talking like the windows are into certain actions, so it's acts like a verb. There is something on the card, so it acts like a entity. So limit is the noun that we can't touch, abstract noun. The lace veil is so light acts like an adjective. So acts like an adverb. Okay, because light gives you information about the veil. So here lace and slight are both adjectives. Veil is the noun. The is the determiner. One has to believe in oneself. Oneself is the pronoun. Because you're just saying one has to believe in one. The weather has turned quite cold. Cold is the adjective. Because cold talks about weather, which is the noun. But quite acts like a adverb. So congratulations to all the people who have got all of them right. You know how parts of speech function. The next exercise, I think I've already given this, so I'm just discussing the answers, will impact the team's notice. So it's a verb. If we had known before, so known before, if you had known somewhere, some time, so it's an adverb of time. Little outlet, outlet as a noun, therefore little acts like an adjective. Set in, this is a phrasal verb, so it's a verb. Set in means to start, that it has already started, right? So the reference is set in. So the magnitude of unpaid contribution underscores verb. Okay, underscores is the verb. 6, the investigation team found. Which team? Investigation team. So team is the noun, investigation acts like an adjective. Evidence suggests that he was less diligent. So diligent is the verb. Diligent is the noun. He was less diligent at reading dispatches. So diligent is the adjective, and then less acts like an adverb. So he was less diligent at reading something. So yeah, the less becomes an adverb. The economy is doing well. Again, so doing well, you're trying to tell the existence of something. So adverb. We need to look. Clearly a verb, because even to look is a verb. So this is a whole verb cluster, need to look. To look is the infinitive and need is the verb. It turned out, again a phrasal verb. So I hope you've got all 10 correct. Let's quick recap. Nouns, entities or identities within the sentence that have been talked about. Pronouns are the replacement words of the entities or identities. Adjectives gives additional or extra information about the entities or the identities. Verbs denote the existence of the entities. Adverbs provide additional or extra information about verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Prepositions are the verbs that help explore the relations of the entities of the existence to their existence. Conjunctions are the words that use add or join word. What they can join is word, phrase, clause, or even sentences. And then interjections are the words that are used to express feelings or emotions. I think that's all from my side. Next class is going to deal with the nouns and the pronouns. What are the nouns and the terms that are associated with nouns, like where the exam setter might make questions on, like cases, person, gender, etc. And all these cases, all these things, pronouns, and especially the relative pronoun, because the relative pronoun is the most frequently asked chapter in the series of our pronouns. That's all from my side. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.